So being that it's 5 o'clock, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting of the Utility Services Board on June 8th to order. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our previous meeting on May 26th. Are there any corrections to the minutes or any comments? Okay, seeing none, then is there a motion to approve last meeting's minutes? Oh.
So move. I move. Moving.
All right.
Still moving.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, and Latrina, could you please call the roll?
Bannock,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Kapler,
Yes.
Burnham.
Yes.
All right, minutes are approved. Next up, we have the claims, and first we have standard invoices in the amount of $928,276.46. Are there any questions or comments on the standard invoices? All right, seeing none, then is there a motion to approve standard invoices?
So move.
Second.
And Latrina, please call the roll.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Bannock,
Yes.
Kapler,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Sherman.
Yes.
All right, invoices are approved. Utility bills in the amount of $65,776.69. Are there any questions or comments about utility bills? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the utility bills?
I move.
Second.
And Latrina, call the roll, please.
Kapler,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Bannock,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Parmenter.
Yes.
All right, utility bills are approved.
Jean.
Yes.
Amanda, I don't think we're calling Julie in the vote.
She said ahead of time that she's going to abstain from all votes tonight.
Gotcha. Sorry about that.
Thanks for
Missed
checking.
that. Sorry.
No,
Okay.
thanks for checking on that because we, I think, talked about that before you got online. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I haven't even read the packet this time, so I'm just going to wait till the next meeting, and then by then I should be more caught up.
okay, excellent. All right, next up are wire transfers in the amount of $471,342.30. Any questions or comments on wire transfers? All right, none. Then is there a motion to approve wire transfers?
So move.
Second.
Latrina, please call the roll.
Sherman,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Kapler,
Yes.
Bannock.
Yes.
All right, wire transfers are approved. Next up are customer refunds in the amount of $240.99. Any questions, comments about refunds? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to approve refunds?
Move.
Second.
And Latrina, please call the roll.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Bannock,
Yes.
Kapler,
Yes.
Burnham.
Yes.
All right, customer refunds are approved. Next, we have the consent agenda in the total amount of $3,929. And Vic, I will turn this over to you.
Good evening, everyone. As Jean said, the consent agenda totals $3,929. It has Control Freaks LLC for $3,500 for disinfection systems improvement on the SCADA at Dillman, and then $429 to Alpha Liberty Company, and that's the annual calibration of the balance in the scale at Dillman. Is there any board member who'd like to consider one of these items separately from the others? Hearing none, if there's no opposition, these will be approved as recommended by staff. Hearing no opposition, these items are approved. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Vic. Next item is a request for approval of the agreement modification with Groomer Construction for the Sarah Road HMA repair project. And Jane Fleeg is going to talk about this. Jane?
Thank you, Jane Fleeg, for the record. This is an agreement that you originally approved less than a month ago. This is a section of the Sarah Road path that sank over the 24-inch water main. The original agreement amount was for $4,515.62. Once he started construction, our crews removed the existing path and placed the stone, and then he came in and placed the asphalt. This is Groomer Construction. The stone wasn't completely level, and so in leveling it out with his paving machine, it took a little bit more asphalt than was planned. So this is a contract modification to add $618.03 to cover that additional material and trucking costs. And so it's now an agreement not to exceed $5,133.65. The work is complete. We just need to agree. I need to have you agree to this so that I can make payment to him.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments for Jane? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Then is there a motion to approve this agreement modification?
So moved.
Second.
All right, and Latrina, can you please call the roll?
Parmenter,
Yes.
Kapler,
Yes.
Bannock,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Sherman.
Yes.
All right, that is approved. Thanks so much, Jane.
Thank you.
Next, we have up a request for approval of the First Amendment to the Agreement for Services with Electric Plus, Inc. for the Dillman Wastewater Treatment Plant Chlorine Feed System Improvements. And Brad Schrader is going to talk with us. Brad?
Yes, hello, Brad Schrader with the Engineering Department. This was part of our chlorine system enhancement, which we've done at the Dillman Road, and this was for all the electrical work that the project required. And they had given us a quote to come in and do multiple tasks as part of the electrical work. We were rushing to get the job done, and all of our parts didn't come in material at the same time. So we had them come out and do work as parts came in, and this increased the cost of the contract, but we were trying to get it done as quick as we could. And so this increased the contract by $1,315 from its original $4,900. So now the new amount is $6,215. So be happy to answer any questions related to this at all.
Any questions from the board? I'm not seeing any. Okay. Then is there a motion to approve this amendment?
So moved.
Second.
Latrina, can you call the roll, please?
Sherman,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Kapler,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Bannock.
Yes.
All right. This amendment to the agreement is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, is there any old business from the board? Any old business from staff? Nope. Any new business from the board? Any new business from staff? Okay, I am not aware of any subcommittees that have met. Is that correct, Latrina?
That's correct.
Okay. Then staff reports. What's going on?
Got a few things. The first one is I'm so happy to see President Roberts' face on the screen today. It's a joy to see you back. The second item is we are in the process of preparing the boardroom for the likelihood that we'll have to start having in-person meetings again. The governor's executive order expires on June 13th, but we don't know what will happen after that, whether it will be extended again or whether there will be some sort of a modified schedule where not everybody has to be in the room, but there needs to be a certain number of people in the room. We just don't know what's going to happen. We went through a couple different arrangements before we all went on Zoom, and I suspect we'll be improvising again. But in the meantime, we have been making preparations to have all 7 board members 6 feet apart and the necessary staff members also 6 feet apart in the room. So we'll be letting you know what we find out as we go along with that.
Question.
Okay.
Is it possible that there'll be a mixed format? For example, if we're meeting in person, but one of us or someone on the staff tests positive and needs to be quarantined, would you be able to Zoom?
Well, I don't know what the arrangements will be. I can imagine that whatever happens, it's going to be some kind of a hybrid arrangement because we simply can't get all the people who might want to be in the room at the same time. So some people will be by Zoom or Facebook Live, no matter what. I don't know whether we're going to be required to have all of the voting board members in the room or not. That's certainly something that's up to the governor, and I imagine they're going to be making some announcements soon because the 13th is the end of the week. So I'm expecting we'll find out something soon.
I mean, for example, if there were 3 board members who tested positive and were quarantined, you wouldn't be able to have a meeting. So,
well,
yeah,
and
I'm just saying.
I know. I'm sure that they're trying to figure all that out, but I imagine it'll be some sort of a modified thing.
Vic, it's Julie.
Hi.
Do we have to do whatever the governor says? Because I know that the Monroe County Health Department overruled the governor on some things. Just because I'm going to be technically immunocompromised till the middle of next year.
I don't know that the county or the utilities department can overrule the public access counselor. I'm sure that all these kinds of things are coming up in their considerations. My guess is it's going to be some sort of a hybrid arrangement. That's what we were on before we went fully remote. But I suspect that we'll probably end up there again. But at this point, I haven't gotten an announcement yet from Mary Catherine. But I know that this date is coming up, and I just more or less what I wanted you to know is we're working on being ready, no matter what the governor says to do.
And Vic, if you would allow me to jump in for a second.
Yes.
So on the 4th of June, that was when the electronic meeting allowance was supposed to have expired, and it's actually been extended to July 4th. So we're good to continue having electronic meetings until the 4th of July.
Good. Okay. We'll definitely be ready by then. The third thing is there have been some questions asked regarding the moratorium on late fees and disconnections of service for non-payment. At this moment, the governor's executive order on this expires at the end of June. We're proposing, and I think we talked about this at the last meeting a little bit, we're proposing to reinstate late fees on July 1st. And since we don't, August is always a very busy month with students coming anyway, we would wait to reinstate the disconnections until September 1st, with our objective being to get everybody, anybody who's in arrears to work with us on either a payment plan or working with the customer assistance program. We've been talking a little bit about where that's, where that's put us in terms of revenues and accounts receivable up to now, and I invite Laura to comment on it. Laura, do you have anything to say about it?
Hi, thanks, Vic. Laura Pettit, Finance. And yeah, I also have invited Edie Henderson, who manages our CAP program. In terms of revenues, we recognize revenue when we bill. They have held fairly steady through COVID. We have seen an increase in our accounts receivable, but it's not a significant amount. we've really done a lot, and I have to give credit to the team for reaching out to our customers and working with them to get on a payment plan and just communicate with us if they're having trouble paying so that we are not putting them on a shut-off list. And yeah, I think I can get numbers if you guys would like to see them, but it hasn't been as bad as we had worried that it might be.
Okay. Amanda, you had a comment?
Actually, I had a couple of questions, and the first one is, I know you said you'll get the numbers to us, but do we have an idea of how many customers have we put on a payment plan who are telling us that it's because of the COVID epidemic? My second question is, how are late fees calculated? And then the third question is, when we start assessing late fees, is it simply based on, it's not in arrears, I guess. I don't want to say, I want to say like they won't get charged multiple late fees. We're just going to start a single late fee starting X date. So 3 questions: number on payment plan, how are late fees assessed? Or what's the amount? Is it a percentage or a flat fee? And then when will the late fee be effective?
I'm gonna have to give you the number of people who are on payment plans for COVID. That I don't know specifically. I know that we've only used about 25% of our CAT funds for the year. So we've got a little more flexibility there, and we're reviewing things by case basis, but I don't think we haven't said no to anyone who qualifies. So and we haven't had to yet, as far as I know. The second question was about late fees, and those are on current balances, 3% on water, 10% on wastewater is how we calculate those. And 3% on sanitation as well.
We will not go back to the arrearage and put extra penalties on that.
July.
Jim Sherman.
Yeah, Vic, I was wondering if over the last few months, how has water usage been for CBU? Is it up? Is it down? Is it flat?
Well, it's down. It's down partly because students left.
But that's a constant.
But our bills have not gone down by as much. Part of the reason for that, we think, is the new meters. A lot of our old meters were slow, so there's been some offset in that. Laura, dollar for dollar, we're pretty much breaking even, right, so far?
That's correct.
So it's serendipitous that we happen to be replacing the meters at a moment like this. The other thing that I wanted to bring up about this is that I have been asked by outside folks about extending the moratorium for service disconnections for non-payment indefinitely. I don't think that's a good policy. We have a policy for assisting people who are unable to pay because they're on hard times, and I would prefer that we take advantage of that policy. If we need to, we might even expand that policy. Right now, you can only seek out help a total of 4 months per year. If the board wishes, we could expand that owing to the crisis, but I think we should just wait and see how the requests come in. My fear is that if we simply place a long-running moratorium on service disconnections, we really won't have a way of encouraging people who can afford to pay to not let their bills get into arrears. We certainly don't want to end up in a situation where people have $1,000 or $1,500 water bills because they haven't paid them in a long time. So we definitely want to do everything we can to help people who are unable to pay, but people who are able to pay, we really would like them to pay their bills. So I think what we're trying to do is find kind of a middle ground here. If we start running out or having a lot of demand for the customer assistance program, or if it turns out that we're finding people who are really having a hard time for a long time, and perhaps we would like to expand that program somewhat, we can take that up with the board, in a couple of months when we see how things are playing out. Does that seem like a reasonable approach?
Well, I'm glad to hear you talk about those options, Vic, because we know some people are returning to their jobs. We also know some people are not able to return to jobs and are having difficulty, qualifying for unemployment and are really having a hard time. And that's probably going to continue through this whole thing until, we have a vaccine and we can get back to some semblance of normal. And so I want to see some options available for those folks. And I'm just curious if with the customer assistance program and the amount that is in that fund, if that does start to run low, do we have options in terms of any special funding coming through in one of these relief packages from the feds, or do we have any options in city funding to increase that customer assistance program funding if we need to?
If we can find outside funding, that would certainly be nice. Short of that, though, we're on an accrual accounting basis. We're not cash accounting like the rest of the city. So the board can direct us to go ahead and proceed. So it's not quite as constrained as it might be if we were in a different department. But certainly we should look to see if there are any federal programs to assist with this sort of thing. I don't know that there are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Thank you. I'm glad to see that we're thinking about these things. All right. Anything else, Vic?
That's all I have. Thank you.
That's it? Okay. Thank you. Now we have time for petitions and communications from the public. And I know we have one member of the public who wanted to talk with us, Mr. Thackeray. If you want to unmute and you'll have 5 minutes to, let us know what's going on and we'll go from there.
Hey, sorry to bother you guys, but I'm a little upset. I've received a water bill for April, and now I'm receiving a water bill for May. And the issue that I have is that it was for a property that was a commercial building downtown Bloomington, that all 4 units in the building were completely shut down for the entire month of April and most of the beginning of May. During which time there was a single toilet leaking that has accrued a water bill of over $1,000, $1,866. And I had requested some kind of assistance from the department in means of, either losing the wastewater portion or any type of assistance that they could offer. And all they're interested in providing at this time is a delay in payment, and a delay in payment really doesn't solve what happened to me here. I was asked by the county and the city to stay home. I stayed away from my property, as did all the tenants at the property. They took the order kindly and left the abandoned business and everything else. And now to get stuck with $1,000 water bill and the fact that we had to replace the toilets and fix all the problems from the leaks. I mean, it's discerning, and I wanted everyone here to hear that, because it upsets me that there's no care at all from the utility department in this situation. I mean, we're doing what the city asked, and we're getting absolutely nothing in condolence for the situation. And that's all. I just thought that should be brought to your attention. I think some matter should be some alleviation or some circumstances. I don't know.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Thackeray, for your comments. And I'm sorry about the situation. Are there any comments or thoughts from the board at this point? Okay, all right. Well, thank you for that input. And you know, I'm listening to that input. So, all right. Let's see. Holly, are there any other public comments that have been posted on Facebook Live?
No public comment or questions via Facebook Live.
Okay, thank you. Well, then I think I'll ask, is there a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
So move.
All right, thank you. We are adjourned. Thank you all.